All right. So last year, Wizards announced that Master Sets were over, and now this summer we have a new Master Set. Of course, it's called Modern Horizons. It's not really a Master Set because there's new cards in it, but it's basically a Master Set. And we're going to go through it and see all the new cards they added. We'll start with the two that were announced months ago. Serra Benevolent, 4 mana, 2 white. Creatures you control with flying get +1/+1 until end of turn, +2 loyalty, kinda lame. -3, create a 4/4 angel token with flying and vigilance. So basically you're getting like a 5/5 on your turn, 4/4 on their turn creature with this. And then the emblem, you get an emblem with, if you control a creature, damage that would reduce your life total less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead. It's kind of a humility effect. I think this card is lame and will not see play in Modern. Unless there's like a white Flyers deck I don't know about. I bought the Modern event deck from my local game store, which is a white Flyers deck where you make a bunch of spirits with Lingering Souls and stuff. And that deck would not run Serra the Benevolent. So if that deck won't run it, I don't know what would. I mean, maybe you could, but it's not that good. All right, and the other one they previewed a long time ago was Cabal Therapist. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may sacrifice a creature. When you do, choose a non-land card. Then that player reveals their card and discards all their cards with that name in their hand. So this is kind of like a recurring Cabal Therapy, which is really dope in a token deck, or in some sort of sacrifice deck. I like it. Force of Negation. Man. This is basically like a mini Force of Will. 1 blue, and then it counters target non-creature spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. So it only works on non-creature spells. That's the first part. The second part is you may pitch a blue card from your hand to pay the cost for free, but only on your opponent's turn. So this means it's really good for control decks. They can stop a combo with it. It's not as good for combo decks because they can't protect their own combo with it. So it's a nice trade-off. A lot of people were thinking that Force of Will, this card, would be in Modern Horizons, and I'm glad that they didn't put it in, and I think this was maybe a nice compromise. Alright, let's just keep going down the list. Seasoned Pyromancer, so Salt and Pepper Pyromancer here. 2/2 for 1 and a red. It's basically like young Pyromancer all grown up and hunky with his shirt open. I guess he already had his shirt open, but he's muscly now. You discard 2 cards when it comes in, and for each non-land card, you get a 1/1 red elemental creature token. In a world where Dredge and Faithless Looting are so powerful, I think Seasoned Pyromancer is going to be a good sideboard card for that deck. Deep Forest Hermit. This is going to be forced into the Vintage Cube, I believe. That's where I see this card getting its most play. It's basically like Deranged Hermit here, which had an echo cost. But it creates a bunch of squirrel tokens, and then it goes away. Not that cool. Then we have the Snow-Covered Lands. If you ever saw the card Skred, that is the biggest card in Modern that made you use Snow-Covered Lands. It deals damage to target creature equal to the number of snow permanents you control. 1 red. So you'd get a bunch of snow lands and you'd use Skred and it would do like 5 damage. And so you see all of these phallic little mounds here covered in snow. I live in a snowy area. This is not what snow turns into. They don't turn into little spires. It's okay, but I would have liked to see an actual forest, an actual mountain, an actual swamp, an actual island. These just look lame. The island really looks cartoony and lame. So not very happy with the art here. Yeah. This thing, it's some sort of like, there's Astral Slide, which was a cycling card. This is a similar to Astral Slide. So whenever you cycle a card, you get to flicker a creature. So you can do a bunch of cool enter the battlefield effects. Unfortunately, I don't know if Modern is slow enough to have a cycling deck work. I just don't know that you can play an enchantment that does nothing on turn 3 and then have enough stuff to keep flickering something worthwhile. Modern just kind of broken already. Astral Slide would have been cool 2 years ago, and I don't know if it's cool anymore. Flusterstorm. This is kind of a fun card to see enter Modern. It is a storm counter, so as things happen each turn, it gets better and better. It only works for instant sorceries, but a lot of times that's enough anyway, so I'm happy to see that. And I just like it being printed again for Vintage and Modern. It's really expensive because it was only in like one of the master sets, and before that, just Commander. Undead Augur. Whenever Undead Augur or another zombie you control dies, you draw a card and lose 1 life. It's a fun card for Commander. I really don't think it's going to be enough to make zombies a Modern deck. If it does, that would be sweet. I would love to play zombies in Modern, but right now, creature decks in Modern are dead. Goblin Matron. Man, this one makes my blood boil. I grew up playing goblins. I loved goblins. Goblins are sweet. Goblins aren't supposed to look like whatever this looks like. It's got a weird nose, no jaw. It's red and pink and white. Goblins should be little green dudes like this guy. Make goblins green again. That's what I want. I don't like these red goblins. The artist is Jesper Eschling. They are a good artist. I just don't like this art. And he did a good job. I just don't think the art direction was good. Let him make a green goblin. That's what I want. Alright, another force card. You basically get to pitch a green card to destroy up to 2 artifacts and or enchantments. Or you could play 2 green. I don't think anyone's going to hard cast this. But this really is exciting for Legacy and Modern. Especially, I think even more exciting in Vintage, where workshops decks that use all artifacts are taking over. I think using this will make Deathrite Shaman decks be very useful. So I wouldn't be surprised to see decks with Deathrite Shaman, Dark Confidant, Fast Bond, what other green cards? Sylvan Library, and Force of Vigor. So that would be really cool to see. Alright, let's look at a couple other cards. Wing Shards. Target player sacrifices an attacking creature with Storm. That's kind of neat, but I don't think you're really going to storm off that much with it. Exclude. Counter target creature spell, draw a card. That's super powerful. 3 mana counter in Modern. I don't know if they're going to use it or not. We'll see. Firebolt deals 2 damage to any target. Flashback, 4 in a red. This is kind of fun to have a reprint because it's used in Pauper a lot. Anything else? 1 and a white for a 3/1 Changeling. Changelings are back, which maybe means we'll see more tribal. Which makes sense since we saw a Goblin Matron. I really like tribal sets, so if they do add more tribal, this could be a pretty cool set. But so far I'm a little skeptical. Fact or fiction is big time value. I mean, you're basically getting 3 cards or 2 good cards. You take 5 cards, your opponent has to do this awful task where they separate them into piles. And if you've never had someone cast fact or fiction on you, it feels terrible. You are basically giving them 2 options to then have them use against you. It's like if you walked up to somebody and said, here, pick the knife or the gun, and I'll either shoot you or stab you. That's what fact or fiction is like. Basically, you say, here, look. I'm a nice man. I'm not. I'm gonna give you a choice. We're gonna work this out. You pick. Here's 5 cards. Separate them into 2 piles. And I'll only use one of them. Don't worry. You make the 2 piles, I'll only use 1 pile against you. It doesn't really matter. You're getting good cards out of... If you're looking at 5, you're going to get a good card, and you're going to use it against your opponent. So fact or fiction is awesome. It's great in a deck full of counters. Because you counter a spell, and if you don't need to counter the spell, you cast fact or fiction. Anything else? Headless Spectre, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. It's Hellbent. You get to see Hellbent again. This is kind of a fun card. It's Savage Swipe. It's like Savage Punch. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn if its power is 2. Which in common parlance means if it's a bear, a 2/2, then it gets +2/+2 again. So it turns into a 4/4. Then it fights target creature you don't control. So it is a fight rather than a punch. I don't know that this is going to see play. Like I said, creatures are not good in Modern right now. And maybe something else in the set will change it, but I don't think Swipe is the thing that does. Blah, blah, blah. Martyr Soul. Convoke. If it enters the battlefield and you control no tapped lands, put 2/1/1 counters on it. So this is good if you convoke a bunch of tokens to get this out on the battlefield. You get a 5/4, or if you use a Aether Vial, then you get a 5/4. Blah blah blah. 1/3 Death Touch Changeling. That's a boring changeling. And here we go. Goblin War Party. Create 3/1/1 goblin tokens. Creatures you control get 1/1 and haste until end of turn. Entwine. I don't think a 7-mana finisher is going to be good in the Modern Goblin deck, but this could be good in draft. And I'm going to draft this. I love goblins. I'm going to draft goblins. The goblins are green. Look at this. Green goblins. That's how you're supposed to do it. Look. Green goblin. Willem Dafoe. Where's Willem Dafoe? That is what you need. You don't need red goblins. You need green goblins, my man. Green goblins. And that's what we get here in Goblin War Party. That's why I'm going to get 4 foils of these on day 1. Pre-order, baby. Anything else cool? Prohibit. It's pretty cool. It's a counter spell. Counter target spell if it's converted, mana cost 2 or less, 4 or less if you paid the kicker. So it's pretty useful. Lava Dart, blah blah, lame. Get this card, which I think is pretty bad. Ice Fang Coatl. It's basically like Baleful Strix. It's a 1/1 that draws a card and has Flash, which is awesome. This Death Touch as long as you control 3 other snow permanents. I mean, it's just give it Death Touch. Like, if it needs to be snow permanents, just give it Death Touch. I don't want to, like, buy a bunch of snow lands just to make this dumb snake bird work. And honestly, a Baleful Strix, a 1/1 Death Touch is not that good in Modern because creatures aren't good in Modern anymore. There, I said it. Anything else good here? Munitions Expert. You may have it deal equal damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of goblins you control. A+. It's a green goblin. I mean, he makes it look a little gray, but it looks like a little witch goblin. A+. I want that card too. Abominable Tree Folk. Equal to the number of snow permanents you control. You know what? I'm just not digging the snow permanents. Maybe I'm alone dying on my unsnowy island, but I think snow permanents are lame. I think there's a reason we haven't seen them in 13 years, because they're not that good or cool. Morophon the Boundless. Spells of the chosen type you cast cost blah 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 less to cast. It reduces only the amount of colored mana you pay. This is a really loosely good ability, not that good ability. I get it, it's a colorless lord for whatever tribe you want, but this card's lame. This is like an attempt at selling to the EDH crowd, and yeah, I guess some EDH people use it, but it's lame. It's not that cool. Prismatic Vista, it's in like Portuguese, so let's see what it says here. Pay 1 life, sacrifice Prismatic Vista, search your library for a basic land card, and put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. Alright, well, it searches for all 5 colors. I like it. I'm surprised that they put such a cool card and powerful card in, but I will like it. I want it. New card. I'll buy it. Yeah, so more spoilers to come. I hope we see way more goblins and they're green. How come the mom goblin is red and the other goblins are green? Like, how is a green goblin going to be the mama of a red goblin, going to be the mama of a green goblin? Doesn't make sense. Yeah, and Deep Forest Hermit makes me think maybe elves, but and this makes me think maybe zombies. I like a return to tribal, so we'll see if it happens. I hope it does, and I hope we get more good shit and less lame stuff. Alright, I'll see you in part 2 in maybe a week after we get more spoilers.